I'm Larry Stillman and welcome to part 2 of the Ultimate Beginner Series for keyboards. In this series, we're going to talk about scales, melodies, and improvisation. Before you know it, you'll be making your own tunes up. You'll be a great composer. Are you ready? Well, come on back to the studio and we'll get started. Let's take a minute to review what was covered in Step 1. You learned the names of all the notes on the white keys. You learned how to play triads in the key of C and some accompaniment patterns. Now, let's take a look at scales. When you learned the musical alphabet, you learned the names of each note from C to C. Let's do that one more time. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The new thing I'm going to teach you is a standard fingering technique because you don't want to have to play it with one finger. So watch me as I play. Start with the thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, did you notice something? When I got from the third finger to the fourth step, I crossed under with my thumb. Let's try that. See how that works? Let's just do that. Third finger, first finger. Third finger, first finger. One more time. Third finger, first finger. Now what you have to do is to make that as smooth as possible when you're playing the scale. Let's try it one more time. Slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Let's try it descending this time from the top down. Same fingering, just in the reverse order. Try that one more time. You want to get that smooth transition between the thumb and the third finger. Okay, and as with any technique exercises, you want to do it with a metronome. You want to keep it at a slow tempo and do it very evenly without hitting one note harder than another. Let's try it one more time, up and down. Good. Now, if you want to keep going past the octave, you have to do another thumb under, the way we did between 3 and 4. Let's try it. Now you can see there's another crossover here between the 7th and the 8th note. Let's try that just a couple of times. You're going from the 4th finger to the 1st finger. It's a little bit different than the 3rd. Okay, let's try the scale 2 octaves this time, so we're going to continue into the next octave. Here we go. And down. Good. Now with any technique exercise, you need to practice with the metronome to keep it steady. And it's not important that you play fast. The speed is not as important as the clarity at this stage. So you want to keep all the notes as even as you can and practice with the metronome. Bring the speed up as you can play better. Well, now we've talked about scales, but music's not completely made of scales. The thing we haven't spoken about is melodies. So let's take a look at melodies. There are 2 ways that you might learn melodies. One would be to read music. For that you need a teacher. But the other way is learning melodies through your ear, just hearing what you hear and trying to convert it to the keyboard. We're going to try a little experiment here. I'm going to play a melody that you've all heard before. I don't want you to watch me, I just want you to listen. I'm going to give you something to figure out where the melody is, but don't watch me. It's in the key of C. So here's the notes that I may use, and here it goes. Okay, now try to find that melody on your own. Can you tell where I started? We started in the key of C. There's C. Now can you find the first note that I played? The two chords are C and G, the 1 chord and the 5 chord. Now let's put them together. Great. Now you can use that technique to figure out any melody. You listen to it, pick it out on the piano. It's great fun. Some melodies are more complex than others, and you might need a teacher to help you through those spots. But that's the way I started music, learning it by ear, and it's perfectly all right. Now, if we were to play a melody in a different key than C, the one that we've been used to, might pose some other problems. So let's try it. We have to figure out a few steps. 7 and 8. I didn't go 2 notes, but I went 1 note. I went the black note to the white note. This black note is called F sharp. Whenever you have a white note that turns to a black note, we're going up a step and it's called sharp. So let me look at another note. Let's say D, and then we go up a half step. What is this called? D sharp. But let's try again, the G major scale. Now let's try playing the G major scale 2 octaves, and we can use the same technique that we did with the C major scale. Let's try it. Thumb under, thumb under. Try it again, thumb under, and descend. Yeah, that's more like it. Now what did we do? The wrong note was this white note, and we lowered it by a half a step to this black note. Now when we lower a note, we call it a flat. So this note, which is B, as you remember from our musical alphabet, has now become B flat. If we have a wrong note that we're going to raise, we'll call it a sharp, as we did in the G major scale. We went from F to F sharp. In this scale, it's called a B flat because we went down a half step. Now, I'm going to have to show you another fingering for this scale, the F major scale. Watch closely. We use 1, 2, 3, 4, then we cross under for the C, and then go on up to the next octave there with the thumb. So let's try it. And cross under. Okay, and come down. Great. Now let's try that one 2 octaves. We're going to have to do the crossover again between the 7th and the 8th note. So let's try it again. This is the next octave down. And cross under. And cross under. Once again, cross under. And we're going to descend. Coming back down. Cross over. Cross over. Cross over. Good. Now what did we learn? We learned that there's a half step between the 3rd and 4th scale steps, and there's a half step between the 7th and 8th scale steps. With that knowledge, you can play a scale on any key. Let's pick any key. Try this black note, the B flat that we just tried in F. Here's B flat. Now our rule says that we need to go 2 half steps or a whole step to the next note. So we're going to skip this white note and go to this white note, then 1 more whole step, Now between 3 and 4, we got a half step, so we got to go to this black note. All right, then we go up another whole step, another whole step, another whole step. This is the 7th note, and we know between 7 and 8 we have a half step. There we are, back at home base again on B flat. Now my challenge to you is to build a major scale from any key on the piano. Rewind the tape if you need to hear the explanation again. Every major scale has its own unique fingering, and you'll need a teacher to help you develop your technique. But you now have enough knowledge to play in any major key. Congratulations. Yeah, improvising's a lot easier than it looks. Why don't you come with me and we'll give it a try. Okay, we've learned a little about scales and about playing melodies by ear. Now let's talk about improvising. Improvising means making up your own melodies from the notes of the scale. And all you need is a little technique and a lot of imagination. Let's go back to our familiar key of C. With just white notes to deal with, it's hard to make a mistake. First, we'll need a chord progression so that we have a background for our melody. You can pick any chords from the key. Let's start with 2, C major and A minor. First, I'll play the C major chord. I'll start playing the scale, but not just up and down in order. I'll pick notes that I like in any order. Now I'm going to change to A minor. I played pretty much the same notes, but did you notice how different the notes sounded against the different chords? Hearing the relationship of a scale to a chord is the essence of improvising. Now I'll give you a chance to try. How did you feel about what you just played? While you were experimenting, you probably noticed that some of So far, we've based all our melodies around the major scale. Another important sound is minor, and believe it or not, you already know how to play a minor scale. When you play all the white keys over the A minor chord, as you just did, it sounds like they fit together. The fact is that the white keys, starting on A, form an A minor scale. Let's look at that again. There are some half steps and whole steps here that we need to notice. There's a half step between the 2nd and 3rd steps. Between 5 and 6, there's a half step. And then we're back to the octave on E. Good. Now, let's try the same thing starting from D. So we start on D, whole step. Between the 2nd and 3rd is a half step. Between the 5th and 6th is a half step. And then we're back to the octave on D. If you continue building minor scales from different keys, you'll notice that they all resemble the major scales, starting a step and a half higher in pitch. For example, let's go back to A minor and C. They're the same notes, they're all the white notes. And if we look at E and G, the same thing applies. They both have F sharps in them. And here's G. Finally, let's look at D minor and F major. They both have B flats in them. Major and minor scales that are related in this way are actually called relative scales. For another challenge, form a minor scale from any key. Like the major scales, you'll need a teacher to help you finger them properly, but you'll have a good foundation to be able to play in any minor key. Once again, congratulations. So far we've covered major and minor sounds, but there's one more sound that all musicians play. That's the blues. The blues sound is a little different from major and minor sounds. Right now, I'll show you a scale that blues players call the blues scale. You can see that it's not quite like a major scale or a minor scale, but if you play these notes in any octave, it'll sound great. Now I'm going to show you a fingering for this scale. 1, 2, and cross under. 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's come down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cross over, and 1. There you go. But to really hear how this scale sounds, you need to hear it played over a blues progression. Let's use the same chords that we learned in step 1. A blues progression in the key of C. This scale is a lot of fun because you really can't hit a bad note. We'll let the band supply the backup so you can just wail. I'll take the first chorus and you come in on the second chorus and keep on playing through to the end. Okay, take it. Well, we've come to the end of another video, and you might ask, well, where do I go from here? I'd say find a teacher who can take you to that next step. Keep practicing, try the improvisation, have fun. So until next time, bye.